tonight, you are going on a journey toward deep and restful sleep. This story will gently guide you into calm and quiet. Let your breath slow down and release all the tension from your body. Nothing else matters now. Just listen and let the soft rhythm carry you. Now the story begins. You know that the spoon you might have just used this morning has been around for more than 3,000 years. Yes, that simple curved piece of metal has traveled through time and culture and continents to arrive in your kitchen drawer. Let's go back. A long, long time ago, before there were forks, before knives were common table items, before even plates, back to ancient Egypt, around 1000 BC. That's more than 3,000 years ago. The Egyptians used spoons, but not the way we do. Their spoons were carved from wood, from ivory, even precious metals like gold. And they weren't for cereal or soup. They were for religious rituals, used by priests and the elite to hold offerings, to scoop sacred powders, to mix fragrant oils. Each spoon was decorated with hieroglyphs and symbols of gods and goddesses. They were not tools for everyday people. They were objects of ceremony. Let's move forward to ancient Greece and Rome. By now, people are starting to eat with a bit more variety. Still, fingers were used for most meals. But spoons were beginning to appear at feasts, in temples, and sometimes in tombs. The Romans liked to organize things, even their spoons. They had different types. The ligula, a small spoon with a round bowl, and the cochlear with a pointed end, used for shellfish, or soft eggs, or sauces. The pointy part wasn't for stabbing. It was for precision. They were made of bronze, sometimes silver, sometimes simple wood. Then came the fall of Rome, the chaos of the early Middle Ages, and with it, a bit of culinary confusion. Eating habits changed. Spoons became rare. For a while, people mostly used their hands again. But in Byzantine culture and Persia, spoons kept evolving. They never disappeared completely. Then, in medieval Europe, something curious happened. People started carrying their own spoons, not in pockets, but tucked into belts or inside little pouches, called spoon cases. You might visit a noble household, sit at their great oak table, and pull out your own spoon to eat. No one shared utensils. Bringing your spoon was a sign of manners and cleanliness, at least by medieval standards. Spoons became personal objects, passed down from mother to daughter, from father to son, made of pewter, bone, horn, or, if you were wealthy, silver. As time crept forward, by now, wooden spoons were for cooking. Metal spoons were for eating. A clear divide. In the 18th century, the age of enlightenment was rising. Science, manners, tea drinking, all became part of everyday life, at least for the upper classes. And with tea came the need for a proper teaspoon. Not too large, not too small, just enough to stir a gentle cup of chamomile. The term teaspoon was first documented in the 1740s. It was not a scientific unit yet, but simply a useful size. Soon, spoons were being made in sets: soup spoon, dessert spoon, tablespoon, teaspoon. More spoons, more rules, more manners. And then came the Victorians. They adored etiquette and silverware. Oh, how they adored silverware. A formal dinner could require up to 12 spoons per guest. Each one had a purpose. One for soup, one for consommé, one for dessert, another for custard, one for fish sauce, and even one for cracking a soft-boiled egg. Yes, an egg spoon. They were shorter, rounder, gentler on the shell. People collected spoons, displayed them, engraved them, and passed them down. A good silver spoon was a sign of wealth, hence the phrase, born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Of course, the lower classes still used wood, or pewter, or sometimes just their hands. But even there, the spoon had slowly become part of the table, a quiet companion in every home. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Factories, machines, mass production. Suddenly, spoons could be made in bulk, identical, cheap, functional. For the first time in history, a family could own multiple spoons for a modest price. Stainless steel arrived in the early 20th century. Strong, rust-proof, durable, perfect for spoons. Then came plastic, disposable, colorful, cheap. Picnic spoons, ice cream spoons, yogurt spoons, all made from molded plastic. Not as elegant, but undeniably convenient. And of course, there were the tiny plastic spoons for medicine, the ones we often forgot at the bottom of the box, lying next to expired syrup and cotton swabs. Spoons became everywhere. And let's talk about the spoon. In space, yes, even astronauts need spoons. But in zero gravity, a regular spoon just won't do. On the International Space Station, liquids float, food floats, even crumbs float. So, how do they eat? NASA designed special spoons, short with deeper bowls, and sometimes magnetic backs. Astronauts also use squeezable food pouches, but when they eat solid food, a spoon is still necessary. Even in space, the spoon remains. Now, let's come back down to Earth. There are spoons for every purpose. Spoons with holes, called slotted spoons, to lift vegetables from water. Long spoons, bar spoons, for mixing cocktails. They swirl quietly around tall glasses. Tiny spoons, called salt spoons, used in the 19th century to scoop just the right amount of salt. And there are grapefruit spoons with tiny teeth at the tip to scrape juicy flesh from the bitter rind. Each spoon with its own task, its own shape, its own identity. And yet, they all share one thing: a simple curve, a handle, and a purpose. To carry, to hold, to deliver. We rarely notice them. We rarely thank them, but they are always there. At breakfast, at lunch, at dinner, and sometimes in the middle of the night for just one more bite of ice cream. Spoons have even found a place. In music. Yes, folk musicians in North America, especially in the Appalachian regions, have long used two metal spoons as percussion instruments. Held back to back and tapped against the leg or a wooden surface, a soft clack, a rhythmic jingle. Simple, but effective. In Ireland and parts of Russia, similar traditions exist. The spoon, not just for food, but for sound. It has also entered language. We say, "He doesn't have a spoon left," a reference to spoon theory, used by people with chronic illness to describe their limited daily energy. Each task costs a spoon. When you run out, you rest. A metaphor, a symbol. So small, so humble, yet everywhere. And if you dig into history, you'll even find spoons in superstition. In some cultures, if you drop a spoon, a visitor is coming. Or perhaps you'll have unexpected news. Let's now drift to the east, because spoons are not only a Western invention. In ancient China, people were using spoons even before chopsticks became common. Clay spoons, with wide bowls and short handles, were found in Neolithic sites over 6,000 years old. Yes, older than Egyptian spoons. These early spoons were not just tools. They were elegant, glazed, painted, sometimes carved with symbols of nature, like clouds, rivers, and birds. In Tang Dynasty China, porcelain spoons became popular. Delicate, smooth, cool to the touch, perfect for rice porridge and herbal soups. The curve was different, more rounded, designed to rest easily in a bowl held with one hand. This design influenced many regions: Vietnam, Korea, Japan. Each culture adopted its own version. In Japan, for example, a ceramic soup spoon known as renge is still used today, especially for ramen. Heavy at the base, short-handled, a perfect fit for sipping hot broth slowly. And in Korea, the spoon became part of a formal pair, a spoon and chopstick set, known as sujeo. The spoon is used for soup, the chopsticks for solid food, often made of stainless steel, sometimes engraved, always respected. Because in many Asian households, the spoon is more than a utensil. It's part of the family table, handed down, washed with care, set with intention. And now, we return to the modern world, to cafes and canteens, to restaurants and school lunches, where spoons are everywhere and nowhere, taken for granted, used and tossed, bent and forgotten. But what if we pause and pay attention? What if, the next time you stir your tea, you notice the sound, the soft clink, the echo of metal on porcelain? A tiny song. What if you hold the spoon in your hand and think of the countless hands before you? Mothers, farmers, Kings, monks, astronauts, all lifting, all eating, all human. There's a kind of unity in spoons, a kind of shared experience. From gold to wood, from ivory to plastic, the spoon endures. It doesn't ask for thanks. It doesn't need praise. It simply waits to serve again, in silence, in stillness. Let us then close our eyes and imagine a table from the tables of kings to the knees of grandmothers, feeding soup to someone they love. It's not just a tool, it's a thread, a link between people, between generations, passed down quietly, used without fanfare, often forgotten, but always present. Even in grief, the spoon remains, a bowl of comfort food, a quiet cup of tea, an offering of love when words fall short. You may not notice it, but in your drawer, right now, there is a spoon that has been there for years. Used on good days, used on hard days, used without thought, but never without meaning. It waits, patiently, silently, faithfully, and one day, perhaps, it will pass on to someone else, and they will stir their tea, and maybe they'll think of you, just for a moment, because even the smallest things carry stories. Even the quietest tools carry time. The spoon doesn't shine for attention. It doesn't make noise for praise. It simply serves, softly, always. And that is what makes it beautiful. Now, let the sound of your breath slowly rise and fall. Let your thoughts grow lighter. Let the world grow quieter. And as you drift further into stillness, remember, even the most ordinary things can have extraordinary stories. Sleep well. Let's drift a little further, deeper into the history and the silence. Have you ever wondered why the spoon is curved? It may seem simple, obvious, but behind that curve is purpose. The bowl of the spoon is not flat because it is meant to hold, to cradle, to carry. It mimics the shape of your palm, and perhaps that is no accident. Early humans, before they had tools, used their hands, cupped them to scoop water from streams, to gather berries, to carry warm broth from a pot. The spoon was just a continuation of the hand, made first of bone, or shell, or smooth rock, then wood, then metal, and now, whatever we imagine. In this way, the spoon is not just a tool. It is an extension of ourselves, quiet, useful, gentle. Let's imagine a cold winter night, a fire crackling, a pot simmering, a child waiting for their share, and someone, perhaps their mother, gently dipping a spoon into the soup, blowing softly so the child won't burn their lips, and then offering it. This act, this tiny kindness, has repeated for thousands of years. Different languages, different clothes, different food, but the spoon always there, And it's not just for food. In medicine, a spoon delivers healing, a small measure of syrup, a bitter powder, a helping hand to ease the ache. Even in ceremonies, we find spoons. In weddings, in baptisms, in rituals long forgotten, dipped into water, pressed into flour, hung from sacred belts. Some believe that a spoon under your pillow can help you sleep, or bring dreams, or protect against worry. A superstition? Maybe, but a comforting one, because even belief needs something to hold it. And what better than a spoon? Even now, as you lie there, perhaps your thoughts are slowing, perhaps your eyes are growing heavy, and still the story goes on, because spoons still change. Designers experiment, artists reimagine. Spoons with twisted handles, spoons shaped like leaves, spoons carved from glass or titanium or bone. We now print spoons in 3D. We compost them. We carry them on camping. Let's slow down. Even more. Not every story needs an ending. Some stories are meant to drift, like a leaf on a still pond, like steam rising from a cup. The story of the spoon is like that. Soft, continuous, gentle. It never shouts. It never demands. It simply exists. Let's imagine a drawer. You open it slowly. It creaks just a little. And there, neatly stacked, are your spoons. Different shapes, different sizes. Some old, some new. One has a slight bend in the handle. One has a scratch near the bowl. One still shines, never used. Each one has seen something, held something. Soup, sugar, tears, laughter. Yes, a spoon can hold laughter. The kind that spills over during a messy dessert, shared between friends, at a table too small, with hearts too full. And yes, a spoon can hold grief, the kind that sits heavy in silence when a loved one is no longer there, but their favorite spoon remains. Isn't that strange? That a spoon can become a memory, not by trying, not by design, but by being there, when you needed it, when they needed it, when the moment just happened. The spoon is never the center, but it's always close, like the friend who stays quiet, but never leaves the room. And when you clean it and place it back in the drawer, you're not just putting away a tool. You're returning something to its resting place, its home. Because spoons, like people, need rest too. Let's go even further now. Into stillness. Imagine floating in space. No sound, no motion, just you and a spoon. Maybe it drifts beside you. Maybe you reach for it slowly. And even here, in the vast quiet, it feels familiar because it was made to fit your hand, made to move gently, made to serve not just food, but comfort. You don't need to eat, you just hold it. And somehow, that's enough. The curve, the balance, the weight, like it was always meant to be with you. Now, your eyes may be nearly closed, your breath slower, softer, the world around you a little more distant, a little more quiet, and the spoon, it is still here with you, beside you, as it has always been. We've wandered through centuries, across continents, through kings and kitchens, through laughter and loss, but the spoon never hurried. It moved at your pace, calm, present, still. So now, it's time to set it down. Place the spoon in your thoughts, gently, on a napkin of silence. Let it rest, let it breathe, and let yourself do the same. You don't need to think, or remember, or reach. Just be. Be here, in the stillness, in the quiet, in the breath, between thoughts. You are safe. You are held. You are done for today. The spoon has served its purpose, and so have you. No more to carry, no more to stir. Only this moment, this breath, this peace. So, let your thoughts drift like steam from a warm cup. Let your body sink like a spoon resting in a bowl. Let your dreams begin like a quiet story you don't need to finish. Because sometimes the most beautiful endings are simply sleep. Good night. Rest well. You've listened enough. And now you let go.